Welcome to Focused, a mini podcast based off of my latest single, Focused, where we explore the importance of self-love and staying focused in today's busy world. I'm your host, Farah, and each week we bring you inspiring stories and tips from guests who have mastered the art of self-love and focus. And this podcast is here to support you on your journey to a happier, more fulfilling life. So grab a cup of tea, get cozy, and let's dive in. I have a guest today. From the city of Los Angeles, she is an artist, a teacher, and someone who believes in repurposing. My girl, Lauren Torres.
Hello. That was such a
Hi.
good intro. Oh my God.
How are you?
So polished. It's beautiful.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well. Yeah, I'm staying busy. Always staying busy but lots of good things, good developments as of late. So I'm very, very blessed and excited for those things to be happening. Yeah, maybe we'll talk about them. But yeah, just new developments in life and things that are exciting for me. Yeah, good, doing good. How are you?
Good. I'm good. Good. Better now that you're here. You were one of the streamers I met online on the online web. And when I met you, all I knew is that you sang and you had this sense of humor to you that was sort of hidden, but not. And then I finally stopped streaming. And long story short, my first time ever meeting you in person was last year. I came down to LA and I went to one of your shows at Breaking Sound, adults only.
It was so cute. It was great.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then she saved me from one of the most traumatizing times in my life. And long story short, I call her one of my angels. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So cute. I'm happy to be that. I'm very blessed to be that.
Yeah. No, I was blessed to even like be able to meet you. I feel like that was meant to happen, you know? When things happen.
Absolutely.
Right?
Definitely.
Things happen for a reason.
It's sad that it happened the way it happened, but it definitely was. I mean, I'm sure that you're probably happier now that it happened than not happening, because I feel like there are certain people that you don't need in your life, and then it's like almost like you replace. Not that you replace, but you filter out the energy that you don't need, and then you bring in energy that might be more useful or just beneficial to you. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Kind of like a perfect metaphor for that. So,
yeah, no, I strongly believe that. When I go through traumatizing times like these, like it just makes me understand that things happen for a reason. There's always going to be good that comes from the bad. If you do go through those hurdles in life, it's a lot of ups and downs. And when you go through those downs, you're definitely going to go back up because that's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. And so I start to believe that more. And I feel like I just had to go through that. You know, a lot of good things happened after that. And so, yes. Right. And so I'm grateful to be alive and here with you. And so, you know, you are obviously a multifaceted artist. You're a streamer and you're an entrepreneur. What does self-love mean to you and how do you incorporate that into your life?
Okay. So great. All of these are going to be great questions. And I think, so before I answer this, I wanted to like almost make a note on what you said just previously and just say that I firmly believe, like, I agree with what you just said 100%. And I think that there is always something good to be gained from like the difficult times in your life, but you have to be willing to look for them. Like, it's like you have to be willing to kind of like get over this like human instinct to like want to kind of sit and I don't know about you, but like I feel like my instinct is like wallow. Like I feel bad, like not wallow, but it's like I do get defeated at times, and it's like I just feel that in order to see the good that comes out of the bad, you have to be willing to accept just like the bad that comes. You have to almost like let your guard down and allow bad things to happen because you can't control them, and just look for the good out of it, right? Like the good will eventually come. But you can't be so wrapped up in the bad that you don't see it. You know what I mean? And that's like, I find that there are people that if you ask them, like nothing good ever happens to them. And it's just like, there are people that when you talk to them, every day is a blessing. And I do think that it takes a certain type of interpretation of events to like see that better side, I guess. Okay, so self-love. Let's see. Okay, so I I know that obviously you stayed with me for a little bit. I don't remember if like that. Okay, yeah, you took one of like the little yoga event thingies that I had.
Really enjoyed that, by the way. That's one thing that
Good.
I do miss, is to be able to go to the beach and do yoga. Like, that was my first time doing that ever. It was such an
Ah,
incredible moment.
and it
It was one
was
of the
okay,
highlights.
perfect day. Great. Let me
Yeah.
paint a picture for you. Great day, beautiful day, sunny, 76. I don't know what I think it was like. It was a very beautiful day, and so
Yeah.
perfect day for that. I was really excited that we got to do that. But yeah, so one of the perfect example, one of my biggest things, and I just started this more recently, but like a lot of there's a lot of talk about meditation and whatnot. My kind of mindfulness on a daily basis really comes from yoga and like being able to not only move but then also incorporate like my breathing with my movement. And you and I both know as singers, like breathing is everything. Breathing is like the start of what we do. And so it helps me not only like get into my body and to kind of begin to connect with myself, but also to prep myself for going into singing and going into another arena of my life. So that's a huge thing. Another thing that I think I would say is just honestly, I would suggest, like, I don't know. I've heard that not many people are very intuitive, or that they don't maybe a lot of people don't necessarily know. uh okay, so for me, I feel like I can tell that around 4 p.m. I start to get kind of tense, and I start to kind of like just stress myself out. And so at that point in time, it might be 4 p.m., it might be 5 p.m. Whenever I hit that limit, I stop. And like I just have to walk away from it, because I know if I don't, something based on history, something not so great is going to happen. Like I might randomly throw my neck out, or I might like just things just I just tense up, and I start to that reveals itself in my body. So I've learned to take a moment and walk away from whatever I'm doing, no matter how important I think it is, no matter like how much finishing this will like just make my day, or make my self-confidence or my life. Like, no, you can come back to this when you are in a little bit more of a fresh state of mind, right? So it's listening to your body is the second thing that I find is very, very important. And it takes practice, right? It takes trial and error, and knowing what works for you and what doesn't, and what has kind of like gotten you in trouble theoretically in the past, and what has benefited you. But then something for me, and I again, I say this all the time, but I switched relatively recently to a vegan lifestyle about 3.5 years ago. And that for me really helped me with my like energy levels. It helped me take out the difficulty in like choices, because for me there's a lot that I can eat, especially if I make it myself. But like when I go out to eat, it's like I don't need a million choices. So now I can like zone in and just be like, yep, I'll take that, see you later, so that has really helped my life in a lot of different ways, energy wise, mentally. Yes, so diet, exercise, loving yourself is just like, I think it's about listening to yourself, and it's about knowing who you are, and about knowing what you need personally. For me, I move a little bit slower in terms of my work, right? Like I think, I've come to you for like help with my content, because I take so long with it that it's like I just stop myself. And so I do take a little longer when it comes to certain things, but I also have learned in the past however long that I've been doing this music work, like that I've been in the music industry, I've also learned how to take care of myself. And that's because I don't prioritize I don't prioritize this idea of success over health and well-being personally. Like I can't, me personally. So yeah, that's my answer to that. Is just like listen to your body. Diet and exercise is always key, and then do what you like to do. Just like that. That's the last thing I'll say. Is like don't freaking settle. Don't do what is expected of you or what you think will be more stable, but like you hate it. Like take chances on yourself. That will propel you, I think, to have more self-love and time for self-care as well, is when you're just like, yeah, you're doing something that makes you ultimately happy. Okay, convoluted
Mhm.
question. I'll get better with this.
No,
Let's
no,
keep
this is
going.
great. This is great. You've literally answered like maybe multiple questions all in one.
But I word vomit and I don't save it, you
All
know?
good.
It's
This
okay.
is why I love Lauren, because Lauren loves to go into this like she gets you into this like warp, but
I
you get in
do.
you really you're like really into her story and what she's trying to tell you. That's why I'm sitting here. I'm like, I just had more than a few takeaways from what you just told me because I'm the opposite. I don't listen to my body as much as I should. This is where the turning point is. This is where the reason why I had all these issues because I was going through a lot of tough times based on me trying to make other people happy, but not listening to my body, not making me happy. And so when I wrote the song, it was like oh my God, I really need to just like focus on me, you know? And so every time I
Yeah.
listen to the song, it just like allows me to remind myself. And I always have to remind myself because it's one thing that I know about me is that I've been doing that since I was a child. And it's really a process of me unlearning that, right? I'm an adult. I've been doing this, habitually for like a very long time. And so it takes time for me to unlearn that. And I learned to
Oh
forgive
yeah.
myself. I learned to not be as hard on myself, but sometimes it's hard. You go through ups and downs, again, like life.
Oh,
And so that's,
absolutely.
yeah. And so you, like, when I met you, you inspire me to become better in that way, in a sense where it's like, I need to learn how to listen to my body more, how to be more zen. I remember when I was staying at your place, you're outside in the backyard and you just came back. You're like, I did yoga and had a book with you, and you're like, me, my partner just did yoga in the backyard. I'm like, that's goals right there. That's goals. Me, I'm waking up, trying to go to the gym and go hardcore, but he is doing like, very light yoga. I would assume you were in a meditative mood, mindset that morning. And so I'm slowly trying to incorporate that into my day to day where I just like meditate right when I wake up,
Yes. Yeah.
right? And slowly incorporating yoga. I don't really have as a nice backyard as you do, but when in the summertime, maybe we'll have nicer grass and be able to do that when it's not cold. But
If
yeah,
you have
no,
a
I
mat, honestly, like as long as you have a mat, you can, it makes, like I do it most of the time, I just do it in here on my hardwood floor, but like the mat makes it nice,
right.
nicer, or I'll do it out on my balcony. Because
I want
yes,
to
you're
be
right.
outside. I do
Yes.
it. I'm always indoors. I'm like, I just want to be outside in the sun.
Yes.
It's so
Totally.
much better.
Yes.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
Um, that's great though. Like that's awesome to hear because I feel like, and it doesn't have like, for instance, for me, it's yoga because I gave it a try and I realized that there were so many benefits for me personally from it. Not just like, not just like the strength building, right? Like it's a body, especially as you get more into it, it's a workout. It's a body workout. You really have to have core strength and engage all of your muscles at one point, like, or at, any given point. And it's a very big challenge the higher up in terms of the level that you go. So I love that, but I also love just it's not only it's meditative. So every time I'm done, I just it's like it's this concept of just like starting the day fresh even though I already woke up. So like
Mm.
starting the day with self-love is maybe I should have just said this, but like starting the day with self-love is the most important thing for me. I don't I gotta say and this, it's there's good and bad, there's pros and cons, good and bads with everything, right? So for me, I don't typically start like work until like 2 p.m. because the first part of my day I'm taking care of myself. I am easing into what I have to do and then getting ready for the day, and I'm eating and I'm exercising and all of these things. Like I'm doing my affirmations, which is something that you inspired me to do, because like I came out to Farah's car one time and when she was staying here, and I think she didn't know I was there for a second. She's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was doing my affirmations." And I was like, "Oh, that's a good idea." I was like, "Man, I should do that too." And so like I started doing it, and it's really affirmations is another one. It's like actually physically telling yourself, I am loved, I am beautiful, I am important, I am smart. Like it's important because we go around joking all day being like, "Oh, I'm so stupid." But it's like
Yeah.
your body remembers that and
Right.
doesn't
Yeah.
know the difference. So when you tell yourself, like it was a very warm feeling that I remember like doing the affirmations for the first time. I was like, it feels nice to just be like, wow, yeah, I'm I'm beautiful. Like, okay, that's fine. It's like not like it's actually weird for me to like sit here and be like, I am beautiful. Like it's just weird for me because I'm so used to like the self-deprecating talk that just comes with just shooting the shit. But like,
Mm.
yeah, it's a whole other level of confidence to just be accepting of who you are and like, but to be encouraging of yourself too.
No, I just wanted to go off of that too. When I first started doing my affirmations, and thank you for pointing that out, that I was the one who inspired you to do that, because my girlfriend was the one who inspired me to do that. And she was like, you know what you should do is start saying affirmations to yourself in the mirror. I'm like, why would I do that? I used to not look at myself in the mirror because I was so scared of the way, not scared, but like I was very self-conscious of the way that I looked. Believe it or not, I had really bad acne. And once that started to go away, I was like not confident in myself. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. My ex would always, make fun of me or like just say things that would make me feel so low of myself that I started believing it.
Nothing
And I
wrong
would
with
get ready in the
that.
bathroom, turn off the lights, and look at nothing in the mirror. I would just like figure out, where's my foundation gonna go? I don't know. I'm just gonna put it somewhere and like not look at myself. It was like really hard. So when I started doing those affirmations and looking at myself in the mirror, it was weird. The
Yeah,
weirdest thing.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but it started to become a part of me now that I'm like, it's weird that I'm not doing affirmations. And I know like it'll click in where it's like, I realize that I'm saying, things that are not affirming love. And I realize it, and then I catch myself and be like, nope,
Mm-hmm.
take a step back, and we're gonna do some affirmations and, you know, just sit there. Even if I need to turn on something on YouTube to guide me through that, I'll do that, because
Oh, that's what I
sometimes it
do every
might,
morning. Oh, it's literally
right.
like that's I follow somebody like
Yeah.
every morning just because like it's just it's not only is it more affirmations than I could think of myself, but it's nice to have a guide and something to go back to so that you can memorize it. And like for instance, affirmations are great for me to go to sleep. I love going to sleep
Hmm.
by thinking, and not by playing my YouTube video, but like I will sit there and recite the affirmations that that I've heard, over and over and over again through this video, and it's like my mind is able to finally just like let myself go to sleep. Because when I
Mm,
tell myself that I'm enough, my brain stops thinking about all the things that I haven't done and all the things that I need to do and all these things, like the reasons that I don't feel like I am where I am, or why I'm not the person I should be, or yada yada yada. Like it's about being content with who you are now. Like, yeah,
right. No,
which
it
is the
it
hardest thing.
totally does help. It really does help.
Yes.
And it's great that we have these tools today because, what did people do back in the day? I know when I was growing up, it's a thing in my family where like culturally you would maybe like only in my family, but most people
No,
that
we all have
I
weird families.
a lot of the times when I remember growing up, people would like say things to make fun of you, but in a loving way. But then that would
Oh,
get
oh, yeah.
yeah, that would
Mhm.
get to me. And I would start thinking about it over and over again and I'm like, that's who I am. It just ingrains in my brain
Oh,
to
yeah.
make me feel that that's who I am. Like I'm
Absolutely.
lazy, I'm not good enough, I don't have straight A's, I'm not getting 99.9%. Like this is
Right.
an Asian
I'm
family's
I'm not in the
problem.
90 percentile, like, or
Right.
trust me, like, I mean, I don't understand because, like, but I understand where you're coming from when you say, like, it's an Asian family, right? Like, I mean,
Mhm.
it's like stereotypically, or I want to say historically, but I'm not Asian. That in that, so I don't, not that I know of, but so I don't know. Like when it comes to having that type of a family dynamic.
Mhm.
But I know my grandma, God bless her soul, I love her to death, right? She's just like me, like super blunt and like no filter. Just if she's unhappy, like you'll know it. Not really, like I'm not really one to hide my unhappiness, but like at the same time, like she was when I was younger, I was always pleasantly plump. Like and so I think about that to this day. Like it's like my grandma was like basically just, like kind of calling me fat, but then also um she would then the next morning I'd wake up and she'd be like, I'm not gonna cook anything. You don't want to cook anything, so have a slice of pizza. So she'd be like actively like not giving me lessons or information on how to do better, right? But she was calling me chunky and I was old enough to know that like that was not, I read magazines like
Mhm.
being the chunky girl is not fun, right? Like
Right.
um and it's
That's
one
and
thing, yeah.
and that's another thing too about magazines. Like us growing up, I remember reading like J14 and like some of these. I don't know. I barely read L.
What about
I
like
don't know.
Us magazine or like
Us
the
magazine, yeah, or just
yeah,
like I Vibe magazine. But I would look at these photos and I would compare myself, and then I'd be like, I don't look like that. I'm not normal. I need to look like that.
right, yes,
Right. So that is definitely one of the struggles growing up was like comparing myself to that because I would see boys being attracted
oh, all
to
the time. Mhm.
right, like women, like music video vixens, like on
Movie
TV or
stars,
models, right?
yes,
And so you start comparing yourself and you're like, I need attention from this person. So in order for me to get his attention, I would need to look like that.
right,
And
yep.
that gets to you. And so I started to unlearn that once I started to give myself more confidence with, doing the self-love. And it took me a long time because it took me like fuck, I would say like maybe almost a decade and a half of just hammering myself with negative talk and
Yes, mhm,
allowing that. And
yes,
so it
mhm.
does it is a lot, and I don't want to say I want to blame it all on the media, but we kind of need to
Oh,
take accountability for it too because
call
we're
a spade a
allowing that.
spade. Yeah, I mean, it's
Right.
well, and just like if you think about it, okay, so let's talk about it. I have been rewatching. It's my dirty little secret, and it's my guilty little pleasure, and I love it and I hate it, but I also okay. So I have been rewatching The Hills. Okay.
Really?
You know The Hills?
I remember The Hills. I don't
MTV?
remember watching it fully though, like maybe a few episodes.
Oh, I got into it. Like
Oh,
that's my Kardashians. Like, don't really talk to me about the Kardashians. Like, you want to talk about Lauren Conrad and Whitney Port?
mm. Did
So
you
like
watch it
Whitney,
because her name was Lauren?
kind of. Okay, to be quite honest with you, I got hooked on it because I was like, ooh, she's pretty and her name is Lauren and
Yeah.
she's just, she's just pretty and like at that time I'm just obsessed with my name and obsessed with, I'm like, so like it's really, media is just, I mean, we grew up in a crazy time is kind of what I was going to say. It's just like we really did. And I understand that every generation has that trope and like now is a crazy time. But when you think about like what was being like allowed in terms of what was being sold just to us as kids, like Victoria's Secret, like just the Us magazines, just the national, like I know they still exist, but it's like the concept of like what happened to like Britney Spears, like how these poor young starlets were just like taken and drug like in front of us. And like same thing with The Hills, like I loved that show, but to find out just like it is really so sad to think that like the media is just so toxic in that way, and like that they would go to those ends to like actually ruin people's lives and then produce a whole stereotype that the youth of the nation has to then kind of fall in line with, because this is what the media and adults behind a desk, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just it's unfortunate because hey, stop showing that view. See, this is what I meant. I'm trying to,
Her moving camera is
my moving camera, my hands
yeah. No,
refuse to
it's all
stop.
good. But no, I totally get that. I guess you did bring a good point is each generation does have, its trope that is, I guess, deterring you from loving yourself as much as you should.
Hmm.
And as long as, we get educated more on these things, like allowing yourself to be more loved by you first and then loving others, because
Right.
for
Like the
you to
one thing
be
I'll
able
say,
to
like we as human beings, we're not a trend. Like we're not like a, what's the other word? We're not a fad. Um, we're human beings. And sometimes I
Mhm.
think about that. It's like, am I in the wrong time as like a musician? Like for me, like am I singing the wrong type of music? Like am I in the wrong time? Like is it not my time as like a, like I'm very pale, like like a white R&B singer, like it's kind of strange, right? Like, and so it's just I think about those things, but I then have to remind myself it's like it's
It's
more
all
than
in your
that.
head.
Like I'm not making R&B music. I am making music that feels right to me, that ends up needing to be classified in genre format or categorized in genre format, and that's the genre that like it's either that or pop. It tends to like fall into those, right? But like, so yeah, we're not fads, we're not trends, we have to, and that's why I take like long breaks from social media. And I know it annoys some people, and people are just like, you take forever. And like, I've lost people that like, they don't DM me as much, or they don't like respond to my stories as much and stuff, because I'm not as consistent sometimes, right? Which is
Mm,
why I need to have the content ready ahead of time and not be so reliant on just like posting day of kind of thing. But
right. Yeah.
back to the main point, like being on social media as like a consumer is really hard for me, because affects my that affects me thinking of myself as like a fad. Like I have to think about trends, and I have to think about almost like me seeing something that is like going viral and it having nothing to do with me. I'm just like, well, fuck, I need to be doing that now. But you don't. You like,
Mhm.
I don't know. Self love is
Yeah.
so
I
complicated.
was reading about this earlier, and it is true because a lot of us musicians and artists are not content creators. Like we're not
Mhm.
right. And the algorithm is starting to move us in that direction because it wants us to feed the platform that they're
Yes.
on, right?
Yes.
That's what makes the money. That's what most consumers want, is they want to keep getting fed content. And that is a con of being an artist, because you just want to create something. You just want to
Mhm.
be able to, like, for me myself, I want to share my art with people in a way where it's based off of, my personal stories and relatable stories. And so it took me a little bit of time for me to understand that I don't need to chase after the algorithm, at times where it's habitually, I'm like, I gotta post tomorrow. I gotta make sure wake up
Same.
at right 9 o'clock, get my post ready, like, or whatever the case may be. Like, I should start implementing more of social media management, where it automatically posts for me, but we'll talk about that later.
Same.
Um, it is something that we need to unlearn now, because we are artists. We create art. That shouldn't be rushed.
No, and when it is rushed, it's like, what could you have done with it? Like when or we're like thinking about it as if it should be rushed. Like what could you
Mm,
have really done with it that could have
mhm.
been just like just something amazing, right? But like
Yeah,
because you felt the need to feed the algorithm or feed this like
yeah,
constantly moving wave, you didn't really actually take advantage of the full opportunity, right? And then
right.
but it's never like when you don't take advantage of the full opportunity, it's never worth it, right? Because then tomorrow the algorithm gets more content and then it's like what you put out is you're having to constantly fight to keep it relevant, right? Like if you're
Mhm.
not the one fighting to keep yourself relevant on these social media platforms, then it's just not going to happen, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know. I think you do a really good job at I think it's that's another thing. It's about balance. I don't personally have this perfect answer for how social media how to conquer social media, right? Or like it's not my first love. I don't it makes me self-conscious, right? Like
Mm,
I have to really deal with these self-confidence issues just to even be on there because it's tough for me, but
mm,
knowing that I'm not the only one that it's tough for does make it easier to be on there. But I wish there was like I know there's other ways, right? But I wish that it wasn't as prevalent or relevant for us as artists. Like I do wish that it was I don't know, it wasn't this like it didn't become this main hub for like where and how artists are discovered kind of thing. Like
yeah.
but
No, I
things
totally get
yeah.
that.
I'm a firm believer in that when this is what I will say. I'm a firm believer in that when these huge things pop up, right? There is an anti group that completely right like there as many people as are on social media, there are so many people that are maybe not on social media at all or maybe on like the lesser known platforms, right? So like you can find out about them and go on there and meet those people and like still real people and like you're still finding them maybe even easier than you would on these like oversaturated platforms
Yeah.
where everybody knows like there's a way around these things and that's what
Mhm.
I think I've thrived on is like finding a different approach than like other people take, right?
Yeah.
And
No,
it might,
totally.
yeah,
Yeah, you need to, I guess, just know what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and then go with what makes you feel good.
exactly.
Because my takeaways, and I'm constantly learning about what's best for me, is that posting with intention and not just posting to post, because
Mhm.
energy is real and people can tell when you're posting just a post. I was just about to swear.
Just
just to
oh,
post.
I think I swore already. Oops.
I don't know. Maybe we'll bleep it out, but who knows? But intentional posting is key, in my opinion, because it gives people an authentic and more genuine, I guess, content, like just an idea of who you are, right? And not
Right.
like this fake ass persona that you think people want to see.
Exactly.
And I learned that the hard way. Like I used to do that back in the day. I would always, again, compare myself to others and be like, that's what I need to do. This is what I need to look like. These influencers look like this. And back then, it wasn't even influencers, just celebrities, right? So,
Mhm.
I mean, we didn't have the word influencer. We called them celebrities. And I would have to compare myself to them and be like, I got to look like that.
Yep.
That's what my persona is going to be.
Right.
Right. But had to go through a lot of healing in order for me to refine myself again and be intentional with my posting. That's my tip, is to understand that you shouldn't just post to post. Have content as much as you can on your phone as you go, but don't even think about what needs to be posted. Just take it as you go and enjoy life.
Right.
I know, like, people notice these things about me too, is like I'm always filming or taking pictures, but I don't go out of my way just to be like, we're gonna go to this little restaurant and take beautiful photos of ourselves and just to post it. Like, I'm not
Oh
one of
no.
those.
Yeah, it's
You know
when
what I mean?
you're already
Yeah.
in that if it's already happening, then that's, that's the
Yeah.
time to take advantage of it. And I totally get that. That's different than and like that like there are people that will spend hours waiting in line in West Hollywood to go into like this completely floraled out like cupcake shop just to take a photo
Right.
with the cupcake, and the
Yes.
cupcake's like $25 and you're like, what the fuck? That's
Why?
the most expensive cupcake I've ever had.
Yeah,
And it's
it's all
like,
about
fuck
the
you.
hype.
It's for the photo op. Like, you just got a
Yeah.
$25 photo. Like, get over it. Um, so like I completely understand. There's a difference between like I don't know, but everybody has their shtick, right? Like even
Mm.
if and that's the thing. I always think about what it must be like to be in that circle of like people who they just are going out of their way to find the next. And I can't. Oh, sorry, that's so loud. Oh
It
my
is
god,
tiring.
couldn't handle
I've been
that.
there, I've done that. It's tiring to be someone who's always chasing after that, someone who's always chasing after the attention and being someone else, you know?
Oh
It's
yeah,
so much better like when you are just genuine and authentic and being you and don't need to think about these things, you know? You're there with, you're going to find your way
yep,
regardless. You know, when things happen, they're supposed to happen when it's at the right time, at the right moment. And so I have a strong belief that intentional posting is the way to go, and people should do that more often. And then, the
exactly.
algorithm will catch on to more authentic and genuine content instead of,
Yes,
chasing after like the same trends, the same.
I
I get
know.
sick and tired of it because whenever I'm scrolling, I'm like, here's another video that looks
I
like
know.
this other video.
Yes, and dude, I hear it and I'm like, how many times can I hear the same song in like the last 10 minutes? I'm like, "Oh my god."
I just
But
wish I personally, it's hard for us too because we want our song to be trending for people to be able to catch on to it and hear it. That's the downside of it. But
mhm.
also, I don't want my song to be overplayed, that people are going to be like, "Here's the song again," cuz I do that. I'm like, I don't want to listen to the song. It's like it's been playing over 100 times. Like, just skip it. Let me
But
just listen to something else.
the thing that people do well, until things change, which I mean, the thing that people have to realize though is that in order for a song to be over, not that people I don't mean to be preachy. I just mean like what eventually I hope is like more common knowledge, because it's something I've known for a long time, and it comes with like studying like music business and whatnot. Like these are just the little tidbits that like stuck with me. But like in order for that song to be overplayed. Yes, there is that traction like that comes from like TikTok and whatnot, right? Like where people just they what am I saying? Like they catch on to a song and then it becomes viral, right? Like and it's that full on word of mouth type of phenomenon, right? But there is a lot of the time a huge financial budget that goes into making a song completely overplayed, right? So like being on the radio every 5 minutes, like that is more than likely, and I'm gonna say like honestly 99.9% to 100% positive that that comes from investments on behalf of the management team of that artist and on behalf of their representation. So it's the budget that is either coming from the artist themselves or coming from their team, but either way eventually the artist themselves is going to have to pay it back, right? So like it's in order to overplay a song, even on TikTok, like you think TikTok's not taking like handouts for like a song to be, negotiated as being like the number one trending or like the one that like gets pushed to the top. Like that is absolutely a premier marketing space for someone who's willing to pay top dollar and then kind of keep it hush hush that it's happening because nobody wants to, know that they don't necessarily stand a chance. Like you do, right? But it's again, it's I hear it all the time, like, and it's a lot of luck, right? But my whole concept is that it's a lot of luck when you don't have the money, because
Right.
when you have the money you have a lot more luck,
Yes.
because you can pay
Right.
for your song. It's wonderful. Like I got 2 weeks on, I think it was like Dash Radio or something, for my song Make Me. But boy, did I pay for those 2 weeks. And it's you don't see a return for a while, right? Like, so it's not just radio, it's other type of marketing. It's all this other stuff that goes into really making a song pop. So, it for us, like there is that element of luck, but there's also like in that way there's a lot of opportunity. Like I know that it sounds scary in saying that, oh, if you have the like I know it sounds scary to say that if you have enough money you can make your luck happen, right? But it sounds scarier to me to hear like if you have enough luck you can make it happen, because that leaves it all up to chance, right? Like
Right.
that leaves everything up to chance, whereas like if I have the budget to put this on Billboard, I'm going to put this on Billboard because I know how to do it based on the science, based on the studies, based on my budget. I can make this happen, right? So
We know money talks.
exactly. And
Yeah.
like if you know how to set up a marketing strategy that works in today's day and age, and you've got enough money to do that, and to do it the way you want, you can make a lot of things happen. So nobody should be discouraged. Like I don't think that's discouraging. I actually think it's just like it's a matter of wits. It's a matter of like putting together a plan and executing it, is really what
Right.
it is.
I guess
So
it's also being self-aware and understanding the concept of how business works, because essentially it is a business. These
yes, it
platforms
is.
need to make money. These PR companies need to make money.
Mm-hmm.
And artists need to make money. And so there's a reason behind why things happen the way that it does. And we can get more into that too. I feel like there's a lot of, theories on how songs get marketed and why big labels, obviously, they have more money and they can push their artists all the way out there and be
Mm-hmm.
on the billboards for weeks and weeks and weeks. And so that shouldn't discourage you to create art. Like, be intentional with your art, again, with the word intentional, and loving yourself enough to know what your purpose is in this world and why you're doing it.
Yes.
And if it doesn't make you happy, then maybe it's time for a change. It doesn't mean that you can't circle back into it and later on it might not make you happy. Maybe at this moment in time, it's not something that you should focus on. Maybe just take your mind off of it for a bit. Like, I know, obviously, you are an artist, you're a teacher, right? And you're an entrepreneur as well. When you live in LA, there's lots of things going on in LA. Everyone wants to be a celebrity. Everyone wants to be the it girl, the it person. How does that environment influence your creativity and your drive?
Oh, I think what I've always known about, okay, so the nice thing is that so technically, yes, like I am much closer to LA than I ever was. I'm not like in the city, right? So like thank
Mhm.
God, right? Because if I was in the city, mm, I think it would be too much for me personally to be surrounded by that level of stimulation, like overstimulation. I get very overstimulated. And so I do need kind of like a more meditative, slower paced space, right?
Mm.
Because I find that I do better work when I am actually I'm coming from a chilled, not such a like high strung place, right? Like I tend to do better work when I take care of myself, right? And I don't do that when I feel a lot of just hustle and bustle energy around me, if that makes sense, because it makes me feel like I have to be hustle bustle, right? And I don't find that I'm the most effective when I just am constantly hustle and bustle. So when it comes to that environment, I've always known in high school I was never the girl that would go out of my way to go to parties. Like I feel so bad. But like my boyfriend now, Eddie, we actually went to prom together as like platonic dates back in high school in 12th grade. And at that party, I was so it's just like I don't know what it is, but I couldn't get comfortable with myself, like being there in that where everybody's just like kind of just having fun, like just having fun. But then it was kind of like this. I just didn't want to find myself in awkward talk. So I ended up psyching myself out and I hung out in the closet at the person's house who was throwing this like prom after party. And like Eddie was my date and he was like super bummed out because I literally hid in the closet and then left midway through. So I've never been this person that's like been good at parties or like big events that for me were I don't want to say pointless, but like we're just like if I'm going to be in the scene like that, it has to be for a reason, right? Like it has to be if there's a live show or if I am going there to support a friend or going there, like I need my own time to kind of just come back to myself. And that's why I love living on the outskirts of LA. I'm totally give me a second because I am talking about living in LA and now I'm trying to remember the full frontal of the question. But it being in LA, how does that affect my ability to stay focused was the question, right?
Well, yeah, stay driven, and how does that influence your creativity? So I guess because you don't like being in the city of LA, you like living on the outskirts. That is what allows you to be more creative, right? Like it's
Yes.
right.
Yes. So I have found that I do well when I have little like just kind of little snippets
Mm,
of the life in LA, that energy, right? Like I don't need it all the time.
mhm.
Um, but I do still think I need it, right? Like to kind of keep me on my toes. I need that almost like friendly competition, knowing that playing those shows in LA, it's so humbling knowing that there's just hundreds of artists out there every single night that are just doing the same thing that you are trying to prove themselves. And it's a very humbling experience to see that and to be around that. But it's also, I don't think I benefit necessarily from constantly pulling energy from other people. I think I benefit the most when I pull that energy from myself, and
Mm.
I'm able to kind of like just, yes, be able to regulate my own energy and kind of transfer that into art. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, this
Yeah.
is great. This is why I want to have you a guest on this talk, because
Have you?
you
Yes.
have been able to master that and
Oh,
understanding how to
thank you.
love yourself more and take yourself out of that hustle and bustle and not needing to be in that hustle and bustle. I was accustomed to, again, wanting to be like everyone else. Like, I need to be in the hustle and bustle. They look important. I got to look important too. I need to do that. But it didn't make me feel good. It was like constant, like trying to become that person, and like a lot of anxiety. And, it was tiring, very
And
tiring.
I'll tell you this, like, I still have I do have anxiety, and I see obviously how well you do with social media, and in a part of me doesn't want you to stop that, because it inspires me and encourages me to try harder, right? That, I don't want to say friendly competition, but that drive encourages other people to also have that drive, right?
Mm,
So I definitely, I think it's a balance, because if I get too far removed from it, then it's almost like, well, I don't know, it becomes scary. Like that hustle and bustle, or like even putting myself in it, becomes scary to
hmm
me, and I don't want that either, because when I can manage it and hang with the best of them, and go through the night and have, like, let's say, a really good show, and it's, it's in the middle of West Hollywood, and I just did that shit, that makes me feel good, because I challenged myself and I rose to the challenge, right? Like, it's not about being so complacent, and not complacent, but so zen that, like, you don't go after your dreams, and you don't know when you have an opportunity or when to, like, go after something.
mm,
But it is about, like, in your off time, like, yeah, go ahead, like, do some yoga, like, come back to yourself, take a break. If it takes you a little bit to kind of finish a task, it's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. And I'm still having to sit with that too. Like, I still get stir crazy and want to finish things and want to be the most efficient, but I found that's not the best version of me, and other people suffer because
mm.
I turn into that, and I don't
Yeah.
want to do that to other people.
Right. And that
Um,
comes with like learning how to balance that, right? I feel
yes.
like I know you just reminded me of that too when I was going through a phase where it was like understanding how to love myself more. It was the first step. And then I became too zen where I didn't know how to balance. I was like, nah, I don't want to be around people right now. Actually, I don't want to be around people at all. So
Mhm.
let me just go do my thing. And then I kind of lost track of knowing how to socialize again. I just lost that part of me, and I was like not able to balance. And so that took a little bit of time for me to just, find balance. And I think a lot of people probably go through that too, because I went through that. And you made a
Oh,
good
all the
point
time.
is
Yeah.
right. Don't be hard on yourself if you don't complete things, or even like need to take a step back and not be social like in a a setting that you need to be social. Like, if you need to take the time and just take a breather and go for a walk, go and do that. Don't feel bad about that,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And never feel bad about, like, if you find yourself in a social situation, I don't know, sometimes it's hard, because, like, I'm very much about, we talk about energy, but I'm very much like energy levels. Like, if my energy level is not there, then I stay very quiet, right? But if that's the case and I'm in, like, a social situation, then it's about being honest and being like, yeah, I'm very tired right now, and I just don't really feel like talking too much. That's why I'm not talking that much. It's just because I'm tired. I'm really
Mm,
tired. And, like, most often people will get it. and they'll be like, oh, totally feel you. I'm tired too. Like, I'll stop talking. But I mean, it's just about being honest. Even when you find yourself in those social situations where you might not be your best self, but like, be honest about that, and it tends to work itself out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's great. Those are really great tips. I feel like I took away a lot of pointers today from our
Good.
talk. No, it's great. And we, when we talk about balance too, and I guess I kind of want to just wrap this up to the end of our podcast. What is the advice that you would give to others who are trying to find that balance and fulfillment while they're trying to pursue their passions and dreams?
One thing, okay. So the one thing that I think I've wrestled with a lot more than like taking time to actually be good to myself and to love myself, but one thing I've wrestled with a lot is this like concept that okay, this concept that like you're too young for the entire early part of your life, and then all of a sudden something happens, and then you're too old, right? Like it's like there's never this perfect time to like just like, especially in this industry, right? Am I right? Like if you don't hit that mark within like, I don't even know, like a window that doesn't exist, then or you're just constantly going to be told you're too young for this, you're too young for this, and then randomly all of a sudden one day you're going to be told you're too old. You're just too old for that now. And it's like, what the hell? When was I ever just right? And so I'm just learning to kind of reject that just entirely. Like, I just don't agree. I don't
Mm,
agree that age is a defining aspect in our ability to be artists, and especially music artists, especially actors, this type of like creative aspect where, or models, like where it's like you have to be so young that, and honestly, personally, I think that has come because it is much easier for organizations and for corporations to exploit young individuals and to take all of their money and
mhm,
to basically put them on contracts that they own them financially and work wise. And so I think that by the time you're a certain age, a lot of the higher up individuals at these corporations are just like, no, we don't really want to deal with adults because you're probably not that easy to exploit, and also you're not ripe for the picking. But first of all, ew, it's just wrong that we have a whole industry that like gets off on little kids. First of all, like just wrong, right? Second of all, it's I just reject it. Just if you don't think it's right, like I don't think it's right, I am just going to continue to do this because I love this, and because I think that these concepts have been built off of just a warped industry that really does love to take children in and take them for all of their talent and all of their beauty and joy and everything they have to give, and then all their money, and is bye bye. And I want to change things. I love doing this for me, and I love knowing that people like you are out here doing this. It's about embracing artists like us. Like I'm just so happy that you're in this landscape with me, and that I hope that you stay in it for as long as like your heart desires, because it's better because you're in it, because it changes things, because the more that there are of people like us just doing this because this is what we love to do, this is what we were born to do, it's not it doesn't go unnoticed. It will change things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No, I'm humbled to hear you say that, and that almost made me tear up because I was like, oh wow. That that took me to a moment where I realized the amount of times people told me that you are too young, or you're too Asian, or you just don't fit this wherever you are trying to push this music. Or
right, it's
they
more
don't
than
believe in
age.
me.
Yeah,
Right.
it's more than
And
age, it's everything.
yeah, more
Yeah.
than age. And
Mhm.
someone told me too, it was like, do you believe in ageism? I'm like, ageism? What are you talking about? It's like, yeah, there is a thing. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
And he said to me, this is a good friend of mine too. He's like, yeah, this is probably the reason why that they didn't want you to perform. It's because you're too, he said I was too old. I was like, what are you talking about, dude? I don't believe in that. I'm
No.
I am creating my art. And this is the thing, is like, as long as you're self-aware and as long as you know your purpose in this life, you won't take that into offense because you already know the reason why you're doing this, right? I'm not catching trends. I'm not trying to be the next it girl. It would be great for me to do that. Yeah. If I do
Yes.
get to that point, then I get to influence others to understand where I'm coming from and the reason why I create my art, you know? And it's humbling to hear what you're saying to me is that as long as I'm in this industry and doing what I'm still doing, it will just influence others to do the exact same thing, regardless
Literally.
of how old they are, regardless of how young they are, regardless of how not good enough they think they are. You know, it's
Right.
like we're not here to be fit into a box. We are here to live as human beings, to serve our purpose, and that is it. That is
Yes.
all that we should do.
Yes.
And yeah, and if you're not aware of that and you just continuously just chase what other people are chasing after and you just feel like, "Oh my god, maybe I am too old." You know, and then you just stop
And
because
then you
you
stop.
right, because you're like, okay, well, now I can't do what I want to do and love to do, what my heart tells me to do. What else am I supposed to do? Just
Yes.
sit in a cubicle and type away and work in a corporate life? Like, that's not what I want to do. Maybe someone else wants to do that. That would be great for you, yes. But if you are like me and you want to create art and you don't want to be fit into a box, do what your heart tells you and follow that because when you hear these things of what others are saying, like what you're saying, Lauren, I don't really hear that as often because I'm always like in my own zone. I'm always doing my own thing. But then when people come up to me and tell me, hey, keep creating because you're inspiring me, keep writing the music that you're writing because you're inspiring me because it's relating to what I'm going through. And that is exactly what checks me and allows me to keep going.
Exactly. And I
I don't need to
totally
be
agree.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, like I said, like you, and so I was gonna say, like, you never know who's paying attention, right? And I'm not saying
Mhm.
that in like, like that Santa Claus is paying. I just mean like you don't know who knows about you or who is paying attention because not everybody always is out there sharing their like I'm very quiet and sometimes I like to just kind of go into myself and not really share because sometimes my energy needs to be checked, right? So like
Mm.
I'm not always like telling other people that they're doing a good job, but I think to myself like, damn, person's doing a fucking good job. Like they're doing a really good and like for instance, like you are one of the people that I always think that about. Like and it's not like a female jealousy thing. It's not like oh, she's doing so much better than me. Like no, it's like because it is that intention, it's like you are posting and doing your art, making your art for the intention of it's a very pure intention, right? Like it's not there's no there's no malintent, there's nothing other than you just doing this because this is what you have set out to do, this is your goal, this is something that you are great at. For me watching that happen and me seeing that you're so committed to that, it's like Lauren, like you don't have an excuse, like and not even from a good place, like it's like get motivated, do it because other people are doing it, and like, and it looks great, and like, you see the progress in other people, so it's like it's wonderful when other people come to me too, like, and are like, I see your progress, like I see that you're getting so much better, or just like people will be like, oh my god, I've heard that song before, and I'm like, what, you've heard a song that I've been on before? And it just floors me, like I'm like, what, how? And those things are, I don't have to be A-lister to know that, like, at some level it makes an impact. With everybody that I know, it just, you know good or bad, it makes an impact. So that's all I'm here for, is just to kind of like make my impact, and it comes in all different forms. Don't try to like pigeonhole yourself to being one thing, right? Like, opportunities present themselves in different fashions. So yeah, do what makes you happy, do what you're interested in, and your life will kind of take hold. Your life story will just begin to kind of form and inspire others.
Yeah. I'm really happy to have you on this podcast, by the way, because you really just gave so many gems. And a lot of people who are going to be listening to this podcast is going to be able to take that away and hopefully be able to, learn from Lauren and I. And we didn't really talk about your music though. So I feel like we need to do a little plug and tell the people
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, yeah, we
about
don't
your music
have time. Well,
because
we go. Okay, how about this? How about this? When my album finally comes out in the next few months, how about I come back on here, and then we do like, how about, can I come back on here and we just do like a little like music plug of like, hey, my album just came
okay,
out.
of course we can
But yes,
totally do that,
but
but
yes,
you
I
are
do
working on music
have.
projects right now.
And I
Yeah,
do have, I have multiple songs out. So I'm working on an upcoming project. It is called Trash. And the concept really came from a couple things. So I really found this like idea that you can be, it's kind of like what we're talking about. Like, you can literally be who you are, or you can be attempting to be someone else the entire time, but it doesn't matter, because someone out there is going to absolutely love you for either being yourself or faking and being someone else. And someone out there is going to absolutely hate you for it. And it doesn't matter at the end of the day, as long as you yourself are really ultimately just content with your decisions, you're happy with the moves that you're making, and you actually are trying like your best, right? In and of yourself when you're not doing everything that you could possibly be doing for yourself, right?
mhm.
So, and in every way, shape, or form. So it's about that. I have 5 singles that have already been released. It is a 13 track project. We are finalizing. It's been like 4 years. We're finalizing the final song, and then it will be out. My aim is for like end of May, but things have been
Exciting.
it's Pro Tools has been so choppy. There's a whole other podcast topic. It's taken like 6 months to mix every single song, which is why it has taken as long as it has. So I'm kind of riding this wave and just trying to do as much with each single as I possibly can, because it's been a long haul, but we are almost there, and I'm very excited. It's my proudest project to date. I think it's my most, just my most honest, and honestly, I think it's probably just the most like, I don't know. I'm just like, I'm very happy with the sonics. I'm happy with my writing. I'm just very happy with how this project took shape. But I am very ready to move on and get this out there so that, I can start writing again. So listen to all the singles from Trash. We got Trash, Uninspired, Tough Love, Mangoes, and Time. And then, yeah. So Trash, Uninspired, Tough Love, Mangoes, and Time.
See what she did there? That's great marketing right there. I am so happy to hear that you finally are rolling out the album, because the fact that you're taking the time, even that's even more exciting, you know? And I feel like, again, like going back to not rushing art, and you're not doing that. So that's great. I love hearing the new singles, and I love seeing the content that you've been putting out. I'm really, really proud of the progress that you have been doing with your content. So that's really great, 'cause everyone needs to hear it. Everyone needs to listen to Lauren's voice. She has a very angelic voice. Okay,
Thank you.
so make sure you find her at Lauren Torres Music. LAURENTORRES
I just
music.
launched, yes, I just launched a new website. So it's laurentorresmusic.com. You can find me anywhere Lauren Torres Music is pretty much, yeah, it's my thing. So,
I'll make sure to plug that in so people can
okay.
see that in the description. So make sure you follow her and listen to her music, and go buy that merch. If she has merch, go
I
buy it,
do.
because she makes her own merch, by the way.
I do.
Yes. Thank you.
laurentorresmusic.com.
Thank you, Lauren, for joining
Thank
me.
you. Thanks
This
for
was,
having me.
yeah, this was amazing. I love spending time with you, and having conversations like this with you. I think we should do it more often.
I agree. I'm still, oh my God, I waited all the way till Friday. I'm thinking to myself on Monday of this week, I'm like, make that appointment with Farah. It's Friday and I still have not. I will do that with you this
It's all
weekend.
good.
So,
Take your time whenever you're ready. In divine timing, it'll happen.
yes.
Yeah.
But it'll happen soon. So,
Yes.
yes.
So thank
Yes.
you. Thank
Divine
you.
timing, but I won't leave it up to chance, you know. Um
Lauren Torres, ladies and
yes,
gents, and
thank
everybody
you.
listening. Thank you for listening to Focused Podcast. What was I
Yes.
saying? Have a
This
good
is
night.
Focus podcast. Focus cast. All right.
Focus
Yes.
Cast.
Love you. I'm gonna get out of
Bye.
here before I say anything else.
Wait,
Mwah.
you don't need you.